The U.S. women's national soccer team is the back-to-back World Cup champion. The women had a historic day in France and took home the trophy. Now, a celebration is in the works here at home for the team. Swimmers and boaters and pilots all use the same recreational area at Lake Coeur d'Alene. How everyone stays safe is coming up. And we are tracking a developing story unfolding in North Spokane County. A search is underway this morning for the suspect who shot and killed a woman driving her car. We will tell you the vehicle deputies need your help finding. "5 a.m. on our Monday morning. Welcome to KREM 2 Morning News. I'm Jen York.
And I'm Thomas Patrick, filling in for Evan Nurani today.
Thanks so much for being with us on the start of the work week here. A lot of folks getting back in the grind
after a 4-day weekend, or
That's right.
makeshift 4-day weekend, if you will.
That's right. Not all of us, but some of us here. Well, the celebration for the U.S. women's national soccer team World Cup has just begun. In a 2-0 win over the Netherlands, the women won their second World Cup in a row.
The team now has 4 stars, with this being their 4th World Cup win since 1991. The U.S. will welcome back the team to celebrate their championship with a victory parade in New York City on Wednesday. The parade is called the Ticker Tape Championship Parade. New York Mayor Bill de Blasio tweeted about their record-setting win, saying, "You have inspired the entire country, and New York City knows how to celebrate champions." Not many details of the parade have been released yet, but it will be on Wednesday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Meanwhile, the Empire State Building will be lit up in red, white, and blue in celebration of the championship from the U.S. women's national team.
Perfect. So 9:30 Eastern. So that means we will be able to watch it right here on our show
That
at
would be
6:30 in the
6:30
morning.
our time.
So early risers up at this time might be able to partake in that on Wednesday.
Exactly. Now, I've been to New York, and the Empire State Building is always very themed, and it's always different themes per day. But I imagine the last several days it's been either red or blue or white, or a combination of all three between this and, of course, the 4th of July. Celebrations.
They don't even have to do all the work. Just keep all the lights the same.
Just keep the lights exactly as they are, and they might as well keep them up all week like that.
Perfect. All right, 5:02 now. Of course, we will be talking about that story later on in the show as well. A lot of people still chatting about that this morning. Weather-wise, though, beautiful weekend. What do we have in store this morning?
Yeah, it's kind of more of that same trend where our temperatures are certainly in check. They'll be average for July weather, but like what we saw this weekend, a couple thunderstorms off to the north, again, a possibility heading into today. So it's consistent, if not challenging from the weather center point of view, so to speak here. But right now, everything's all good to go. The green that you see near the radar site is just some ground clutter for now, but it will be tracking some storms later on today. So right now, again, beautiful sky off in the distance. This isn't my normal shift since I'm filling in for Evan. I'm not normally awake at 5 o'clock in the morning, but with a view like that, makes it all worth it, at least for me, for sure. 55 right now in Spokane. That's pretty much par for the course for this time of year. Temperatures into the 70s, around 80 degrees for the high temperature today, but I am highlighting that mountain thunderstorm chance. I'll give you an idea of when that will be persistent today and just what areas will be most at risk to see more heavy rains, much like they were this past weekend. Those details coming up in about 10 minutes.
Thank you. It is 5:03 now. This morning, authorities are searching for the person who shot and killed a driver in North Spokane County. Deputies with the Spokane County Sheriff's Office say the suspect opened fire on the victim's car yesterday near Windermere Road. They say the driver was hit and stopped her car. Meanwhile, they say the suspect took off driving a red truck or SUV. Investigators say the woman suffered life-threatening injuries and later died at the hospital. Windermere Road is still closed between Glencrest Drive and Elto Avenue. The victim has not been identified. Anyone with information is encouraged to contact the Spokane County Sheriff's Office on this case. Of course, we will continue to bring you any updates when they come in on KREM.com. We are also tracking a developing story this morning across state line in Coeur d'Alene. Police arrested a shooting suspect after he barricaded himself inside an apartment. Authorities say the suspect shot at someone inside that apartment in Coeur d'Alene. Authorities asked neighbors to evacuate the area during that ordeal. No one was injured. Right now, officers are not releasing the suspect's identity. You can find updates on KREM.com. 5:04 now. Here's what you need to know before heading out the door this morning. Construction in Riverfront Park is moving forward in Spokane. Spokane Riverfront Park's Facebook page shared the progress on the newly renovated pavilion. Construction on the U.S. Pavilion and event space is expected to be complete this fall. The top layer of fabric is being finished up and the lower level will be finished soon. Once complete, the pavilion will provide open, flexible seating for concerts and other events. Starbucks is under fire for asking a group of police officers in Tempe, Arizona to leave the store. This was due to a customer complaint. The group of officers stopped by Starbucks before their shift on July 4th. When they went to order their drinks, they were told to move out of the customer's line of sight or leave. Starbucks leaders say the incident was not in line with Starbucks values. They added the company will continue to work in strengthening its relationship with law enforcement. Stevie Wonder surprised concert goers in London this weekend by announcing he will be taking a temporary break from performing. That is so he can receive a kidney transplant this fall. He says he made the announcement in order to get ahead of rumors. He assured fans he will be okay and that a donor has already been found. Disney Channel star Cameron Boyce has died. His family says he suffered a seizure in his sleep. His family says he was being treated for an ongoing medical condition. The actor was known for his roles in Grown Ups, Jessie, and The Descendants. Love and support from many celebrities that he has worked with have been posted on social media. Actor Adam Sandler, who played Boyce's father in Grown Ups, the movie franchise, offered a heartfelt eulogy on Twitter. Boyce was 20 years old. It is 5:06 now. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement could be starting to deport illegal immigrants any day now. A top official at ICE says authorities are ready to identify, detain, and eventually deport approximately 1 million undocumented immigrants with pending orders. On Friday, President Trump said the move could start fairly soon. It is within ICE's discretion to determine who will be targeted in operations. There is a possibility not all 1 million immigrants will be deported. Acting Homeland Security Secretary defended conditions at the U.S. Border Patrol stations. This followed reports of crowded and unsanitary conditions. An internal watchdog released information saying children at 3 facilities had no access to showers. It continues, some children under the age of 7 had been held in jammed centers for more than 2 weeks.
There's adequate food and water because the facility is cleaned every day, because I know what our standards are and I know they're being followed.
Now, the Homeland Security Secretary said the conditions are an extraordinarily challenging situation. He said that since the first of the year, 200 medical providers have been added to facilities. 5:08 now. The U.S. women's soccer team had a historic win at the World Cup. This was the first time a team ever won the title in back-to-back years. This was also the women's first game of the tournament going into halftime scoreless. Forward Megan Rapinoe was the first to score for the team in the 61st minute. With that goal, she was awarded the Golden Boot. She is only the second American to win the award for the tournament's top scorer. Rapinoe was also awarded the Gold Ball, an award that goes to the top players of the tournament. Minutes after that historic win, fans inside the stadium started chanting "Equal Pay." The prize for the 2022 Men's World Cup is set at $440 million. This year's winnings for the women will total just $30 million. The women's team sued the U.S. Soccer Federation in March, claiming gender discrimination. The sides have agreed to mediate the lawsuit. It is 5:09 now. A lot of us may be moving a little slower today, and getting back into your work routine is tough after an extended vacation. We are connecting the dots on how to transition back to your normal day-to-day. On this day in 1776, a 2,000-pound copper and tin bell known as the Liberty Bell rang in Independence Hall to summon citizens to the first public reading of the Declaration of Independence.